Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful. Roll time. Okay. Good God. We can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you know that you gotta get spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. Sorry, I'm a little bit behind. I just, I think I just kind of got a little too caught up in reading comments this morning in the shower. But anyway, we don't have any 6:30 news down at the bottom of the hour, just Canadian numbers, so not too concerned by that. Let's come over here to the charts and look at the markets, though, because we got all sorts of crazy crap going on. Okay, so first of all, the treasuries are just like, what the man? They're just taking off here. Well, you know what? I think I need to reload my data because it is not. It is not pulling everything in here. There was some overnight action. So I am not quite sure, to be honest with you, why we're seeing so much upside in the treasury market here. Well, it says it's still calculating. But it doesn't look too promising. It's not giving me the. No, that's not right. That's not right. Okay, there's more overnight action than what it's showing me. Well, whatever. Oh, that's so bizarre. That bothers me. Maybe I need to, you know what? I'm just going to clear my cache. Oh, and you know what? The stupid sources showing me the wrong source again. You know what happens is I have a KVM switch and the monitors don't always come in the right order. It's annoying. Nope, I am not using Bookmap at all. I would love to see that stop run indicator. Well, let's not say I would love to see it. I mean, I could very easily go out and get it. I would love to see research on it, right? Because it's a very interesting concept and it seems like it should be useful, but we have yet to see any data to show that locations with stop runs are likely to lead to a certain kind of action or a certain kind of trade or something like that. Theoretically, it sounds very promising though, right? So I think it's a cool thing. I'm not willing to spend $100 a month for it. Well, I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to close NinjaTrader down. And I will save that. And I'm going to go delete my cache folder because, like, what the heck? My data, my historical data is just not looking right. Not my cache, my is it the database one? I forget what it's called. Yeah, it's the DB one. I'm just going to delete my DB folder. How many gigs do you think it will be this time? Oop, we're 6, 7, 15? Oh, it was well past time to clean this up. I probably should have done it through within NinjaTrader. That's okay. 28 gigs, man. I'm really pushing it. Listen, I tell you, you gotta clean out your database folder in NinjaTrader from time to time. Okay, it's a lot of data. It's a lot of space on your computer. Oh man. Oh, it is still going. While we're doing that, I want to check here. So the thing was, I had. Oh man. Oh, that's only 5,000. That was interesting. I had a TikTok video yesterday that people just really started chatting on. It only has actually 5,000 views, but there's so many. Yes, permanent delete it. There's just so many comments on it arguing about oil. My favorite one, because the whole thing was we were saying, okay, look, here's the oil production that happened under Trump, and here's what's happened under Biden. Yes, since Biden has taken office, it's increased, but it is still significantly lower than the peak before the pandemic when Trump was in office. And, you know, I think you could even go further and to say that the pace of increase is slower than it was under Trump and so on and so forth. But there was this one person that was like, yeah, that's exactly what we were saying. And I was just sitting here like, then why even bother saying it? Because it means absolutely nothing. I think the whole thing is a little dishonest though, because they're saying like, oh no, like we're actually doing better at energy production. No, you're not. No, you're not. It was way better. It was like 10% better under Trump. Something like that. Anyways, tons of comments on that one. And then there was this other one where somebody was complaining about Procter & Gamble makes too much money. And I was like, well, make your own money. And a lot of people came back with the response that I expected to get, which was, well, I can't start my own company because there's all these problems that would prevent me from being able to make the money. Isn't it interesting how people become libertarians when it comes to their own money? Right? But then the whole point here is that you wouldn't put your own money at risk with that sort of a thing, because who's going to put their own money at risk on the idea that my company shouldn't make as much money? Right? Who's going to do that? It's stupid, right? There's some troll comments on that one. They're like, oh, you read one economic book and you think you're genius. No, I sat here and I did nothing but live and breathe markets for 12 years. Good grief. I kind of want to respond to that one. I kind of love the troll comments, to be honest. I think it's fun. But I think people are more interested in oil, so I think we have to talk about oil. Anyways, so we got like super caught up in that. I'm still thinking about it. I'm surprised with the number of comments that video got, that it only got 5,000. I guess comments don't actually boost the video that much. I mean, 5,000 is a lot, but for the amount of activity that we got in comments, I would expect it to be more like 15, 20, right? Well, it is still deleting. It was literally like 30, 40 gigs. 30, 40 gigs. Oh yeah, I totally understand it's expensive. Yeah, market by order data is, the thing that I find so interesting about the market by order data, like, it actually fixes a lot of problems. Okay, like there's this whole thing with your your market depth feed doesn't match up with the orders feed, and that can lead to some discrepancies and stuff that bothers some people, but it really doesn't matter in the end. But I really think that the reason that they made the data, though, was so that you could accurately gauge where you are in the queue. If you're a small algorithm, that sort of thing does matter, right? What your spot in the queue matters, and so being able to see how many have actually canceled in front of you and what your spot is to say, I do want to enter in a position or not here, based on how easy it will be for me to get out. Like, I think was like the main use case for it, but it seems to create all of these other little oddities that you can kind of take advantage of, like the stop thing. You can come in and see that an order was a market order, but that it's listed as an update, which suggests that it was a stop order before and it was updated into a market order, right? That's how my understanding of how that indicator works. But I haven't had the time to do any research, and of course the platform's not going to do that kind of research. Now, what is this? News Squawk is saying something about the Fed chair speaking? Oh, okay. So we do here in 10 minutes. He is due to deliver welcoming remarks at the inaugural conference on the international roles of the US dollar in Washington, D.C. So they're kind of suggesting, though, that his comments will not be significant to the market. So. All right. So I have loaded up NinjaTrader. I think that it is still pulling down data and stuff. So. Yeah, I saw that. You know what? That was one that I didn't really get to read into yesterday. Let's go read that while NinjaTrader is being done. Oh man, my top story on my Reddit page at least is about the new Buzz Lightyear movie. That movie is already, it's like not even actually out yet, right? Does it come out this weekend? Anyways, already tons of drama about that. I think it was on r/technology, right? r/technology. I think that with that one though, it was more than just they were complaining about him pumping Doge. It was like they said it was a pyramid scheme. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Okay, well that's odd. So most of my charts are not loading. No, it's like they're still loading data or what? But database management. Well, yeah, let's roll over those instruments. Elon Musk was sued for $258 billion on Thursday by a Dogecoin investor who accused him of running a pyramid scheme to support the cryptocurrency. In a complaint filed in federal court in Manhattan, plaintiff Keith Johnson accused Musk electric car company Tesla and space tourism company SpaceX of racketeering for touring Dogecoin and driving up its price, only to then let the price tumble. Defendants were aware since 2019 that Dogecoin had no value, yet promoted Dogecoin to the profit from its trading. The complaint said Musk used his pedestal as the world's richest man to operate and manipulate the Dogecoin pyramid scheme for profit, exposure, and amusement. Okay, so really he's just complaining that he pumped it. $258 billion. That's like, yeah, that I don't think that this it's probably not as serious as the headlines suggest, right? Because the amount that he's asking for is a little silly. Hmm. Oh, look, somebody has already responded to my one of my Reddit comments here. All pyramid schemes with accusations who didn't pay taxes on whatever pump they said mostly got a strong case, so we'll see. I don't know. Things as simple as basic momentum strategy or a regime filter or spy better risk adjust. No, that's not true. So, okay, so he's actually making some good points, some things that we can address here. On par with markets. I'm gonna try restarting here. Save, yes. Restart it. Okay. Well, it shut down very quickly. That's a good sign. Now it is loading data correctly. Oh, did it remove my list? It did. Oh, that's awful. Now I have to add everything back on again. What a pain in the butt. Ninja Trader, you're killing me today. Well, it's not perfect. I'll tell you that much. It's still got its little quirks, I guess you could say. Oil. I gotta add all the things now. Gold. U. RTY. YM. Yes. Soybeans. Wheat. Year. 5 year. 2 year, 5 year, 10 year, 30 year. CT, 2 year note. And then we need to add HG for Kappa and silver. SI. I think that clearing out my database probably was what ruined the market analyzer, right? Yes, Bitcoin. We need to add Bitcoin. Ethereum. Ether futures. Yeah. Okay. Am I missing anything? Wheat, soybeans, corn. Oh, we should add corn. ZC. And we should add the Japanese yen and the euro. 6J. 6E. Pound. Swiss franc. I think I actually have more here than I did before. So it looks like all my DOMs are, oh, I don't have MES on here. MES. I do have ES on here though, right? Yes, I do have ES on. My back is a little messed up. Okay, so now we can see it. Okay. Yesterday, really strong move in the treasuries, and then going into the close, continued really strong strength. And I really never saw any good reason for it. It was a crazy move in the treasuries. Now we're up here. It looks like they've kind of continued hanging out up there. S&P 500 took a bit of a dive yesterday. Ooh, it was an ugly move. Might recover 3,700 though. Again, it's going to be it should be difficult for them to stay below 3,700 for the options expiration. So we'll see. But after all of the hedges come off next week, that then the ES could move more, and that could be really ugly. Okay. Oil doing a bit of a reversal yesterday. Natural gas, nothing too interesting. Gold and silver pushing back up to the higher end of the range as the yields back off. And copper continues to be in doldrums. So not too bullish on global growth at the moment. Bitcoin still just chilling right above 20,000. I'm hoping that there's not another, well, not hoping. Actually, I'm hoping that there is another crazy weekend move in Bitcoin. That would be just so much fun. Sorry if you are in if you own Bitcoin, but okay. So now I'm looking at some of my charts and I'm noticing that some of my indicators are gone. Yep, they're all gone. So incredibly frustrating. Why did they get removed from these charts but not these charts? That's weird. Well, let's add in delta V4. $10K loss in a week on it is fine in crypto winter for yeah. It's already low now. Well, yeah, but that's only just getting now to the prices that are interesting now. Below 20,000, which was the peak of the last cycle. So below 20,000 is where it gets interesting, right? Because now you run into people that have been long all the way back to 2017 that are losing money, right? I'm questioning if I really want to add my inventory indicator to ZN and to the 5-year and the 30-year. I don't feel like I use it all that much, and it is quite a computationally complicated indicator. Now we'll add spreads here. Five to 2. And I'll add one over here for spread front leg ZF ZB. What is the correct spread for that? Inter commodity. There it is. Well, Treasuries buying up this morning. That is very curious to me. Really want to know more about why yen tumbles. So you would think that treasuries would be moving down too, but we didn't get that. So I get this thing sometimes where my web browser will not load the page correctly. Okay. 5-year versus T-bond, it's 4-1. 4-1. Okay. Now here in ES, I definitely need my indicator. Inventory cost basis. Okay. Like that's the only reason I have that instrument open on that chart. Okay. Cool beans. Bitcoin doesn't look so hot at this very moment though, does it? See here on like zero hedges analysis of the day, they didn't really say anything about like something going on in bonds. So something is going on in bonds. There seems to be a very strong bid during the day. Very unclear where it's coming from. Am I getting updates in ZB here? So I'm going to restart. Just make sure everything's set here. I'm going to restart Jigsaw to make sure that it picks up the data coming from NinjaTrader correctly. I mean, I suppose you could kind of call this a problem with NinjaTrader, but really it's a problem with me because what I did was I came in and I deleted the database, right? Instead of doing it the correct way. That's an interesting point. Ignore those you cherry pick showing comparative returns for Bitcoin since insert date. The most honest number is the average purchase price of all Bitcoin in circulation, which is 23,000. Now do the same for other assets since 2009, much lower than the current market. Really? The average price of Bitcoin is at 23,000? Really? Okay, that's better. Now I'm seeing more like what I would like to see. Okay. So now we can go back and we can answer this person's question. There have been some studies showing that extreme imbalance in market depth can predict moves on very short time frames. No, it can predict moves, but this occurs on time frames too short for us humans to trade. How do we say tend to cluster? They tend to cluster. How do I say this? I've found overall market capitalization of crypto assets has dropped to less than 1 trillion from its November 2021 peak of 3 trillion. Well, like here's the thing, Captain Price. Really, when you think about it, using market capitalization with from that kind of perspective is not really like the issue is that the market capitalization doesn't really tell you how much money is actually in there and how far it will go if when people pull their money out, you know? It's good for comparing different cryptocurrencies against each other, and that's about it, I feel. I guess if you want to compare to itself from 1 trillion to from 3 trillion to 1 trillion, sure. But I guess I'm just saying I don't see how that's relevant to what's going to happen next over there. Right? Oh, I remember what I said. It is possible. No, I don't want to say that. But they don't work over a. Lucas, how's it going? And we're a little bit disjointed here this morning at the beginning. I don't know. I don't really want to take a whole lot of trades here on a Friday, but we'll see. It is options expiration. We might get some crazy things happen today. We'll see. So. I don't know if I really need to say that. What's the scoop all about? What scoop? I haven't eaten any ice cream this week. I've been intentionally avoiding it. Don't think it's good for my gut. It looks like the S&P 500 is unhappy again. No, I think he's wrong here. Fed's bullard. Both the Fed and the ECB have credibility. A soft landing is feasible. Okay. Yeah, so Captain Price, this is kind of an interesting little story. So, um, the whole thing is forward guidance, okay? So it used to be the case that when the Federal Reserve did something, it was just kind of like they did the thing. Okay, the Federal Reserve would not come out and say a whole lot about what they would do with monetary. They very much avoided saying anything about what was going to happen with future interest rates. Okay, and then 2008 came along, and the whole paradigm kind of changed because a lot of people really were upset at the Federal Reserve after that's when the complaining about the Federal Reserve online really became a thing after 2008, right? So they really kind of changed their strategy and got into, talking to the markets more. That's when we got the press conference, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so the Federal Reserve got into the forward guidance business, as we call it. Okay. And overall, the Federal Reserve says that they found forward guidance to be an effective tool. Well, not everybody sees it that way. So the Swiss National Bank, when they were doing their press conference or whatever the other day, people were asking about it. And they were saying, well, we're not in the business of giving forward guidance. It was kind of like a shot against the central banks that do provide the forward guidance. Right. So it's really kind of interesting. But and I think that the whole issue with it is that forward guidance does give you the ability to kind of direct markets and so that things aren't a surprise to markets. And I think that is beneficial. But you're also kind of committing to something. So then when you're wrong or it doesn't play out the way that you say that it's going to, then everybody points to that and looks, let's see, look, the Federal Reserve has no credibility, yada, 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 right? So Powell is kind of stuck in this place between we want the markets to know what's going to happen, but we don't want to box ourselves in, right? So it's kind of interesting to watch how the central bankers kind of play with that fine line, Or just a little quieter here starting out NASDAQ killer because I had to take care of a bunch of stuff. Or I had to fix it, Ninja Trader a bit and so forth. So yeah, now what he said at the meeting on Wednesday, here was the thing that I thought was more interesting, was that when they started asking him for specifics about how they handle interest rate policy, he basically admitted that they were just spitballing it. Like they didn't. He was basically saying, we don't have this magical number where we know based on the current market information that the interest rate is appropriate. We just come in and we make our moves and we watch how it affects the market and we adjust accordingly. And I have a big problem with that. I have a big problem with that because the markets are not informationally efficient. So just trying to only utilize the market information is going to cause you to be behind the curve and, would lead to exactly the kind of problems that we've had with the Federal Reserve being wrong. I don't know. No, why am I saying I don't know? I do know. Listen, if that's their approach, then they're always going to be behind the curve. You have to be able to have some modeling to that you can use to identify times where the market might be wrong, right? So to hear that the Federal Reserve was just kind of spitballing it, I don't think that that's actually the case. I think that he was kind of more just trying to give him flexibility, because I know that they do a lot of good economic work there, right? But it was a really bizarre thing to hear him say. Feds has no, yes, it does. Has a huge impact on the market. Orders have impact, and the Federal Reserve submits orders. So they do impact markets, yes. Guy with anti-Trump stickers on his car crashes into Trump merchandise store in Massachusetts. There is a Trump merchandise store in Massachusetts? What? Why was the SMB saying they don't provide forward guidance? They surprise? Oh no, it's not a surprise. I didn't say it was a surprise. It was kind of like I felt that it was kind of a funny snipe within the context of which he asked it. I thought that it was a funny swipe at the central banks that do, right? And I was only bringing that story up to demonstrate the dichotomy between how does it work when you provide forward guidance and when you don't, right? The market is a monster that can't be tamed. It will shrug it off in a twinkling. Well, after their orders have come through, then the market will move according to the orders that come in after that. Mm-hmm. I just see the thing that you're saying that I'm picking, like the thing that I will always argue against, okay? Because it's so important, is when people say, "Oh, this set of orders is coming through." That doesn't matter though. Okay? No, it matters. Orders have impact. Orders are the only thing that matters. And they have a very clear, incalculable impact. Like we can empirically prove that they tend to have a certain impact, and we can calculate what that impact is going to be. And that's basically the whole game with us as retail traders. As we look at the current market conditions, we predict what the future orders are going to be, and with those two things together, we can predict where price is going to move. That's how this really ultimately works, or at least the way that I trade. I think that a lot of other people, a lot of other people do different things that I say don't really work, but whatever. If they can impact the market, then why they can't stop? Well, just because they can impact the market doesn't mean that they can control every price of every asset at all times. Right? They can just nudge it in certain directions, right? This is kind of a similar. So the fallacy in that is, just because something is not the whole game doesn't mean that its impact is not significant, right? So people were making this same fallacy when it comes to Biden and the oil prices. Okay, so they say the president doesn't have an impact on oil prices. Well, that's not true. He absolutely has an impact on oil prices. But here's the thing. There are multiple factors that impact oil prices. The president is a pretty minor one in the larger scheme of things. But on the split side of that, he's also quite a powerful actor in any market, because the president can do something that other people can't. Well, let's not say that other people can't do it, but his primary power is that if he requests to speak with somebody in America, they're going to meet with him. That's the power that the president has, right? So think about if this was something that Donald Trump was really good at. For all of his flaws, this is something that he was really good at. If Donald Trump was president right now, he would be saying, let's get all of the oil executives together in a room. Let's have a discussion. We'd come out with a plan, right? And then afterwards, they'd have a nice press conference and everybody would feel good about how the president is doing everything that he can to help solve energy policy, right? Biden, he doesn't do anything like that. He just blames other people for the problem. And so then the people, they give their recommendations to him in an open letter instead of, discussing it in a meeting and, working it out. Like, that's how things are going with the Biden administration. So can you see how, like, okay, is like the whole thing Biden's fault? Not necessarily, but you can't say that the way that he is handling the issue is good or effective, right? Because he could have a positive effect on it, and he's not. He's basically sidelining himself for it. He's basically saying, oh, I can't do anything about it, and woe is me, and everybody else is out to get us. Yeah? So again, just because something is not like the sole determining factor of something doesn't mean that their impact is not significant, right? Well, so far here on the session, we had a pretty strong move up off of the open, but we have given almost all of that up, and I continue to see a market similar to what we've seen the rest of the week, where during at least the beginning parts of the session, it's really quite non-committal. And what we've been seeing the rest of the week is that actually they come in and they buy it up, they have a trend later in the day that's like really strong. And we'll see if that happens today. Man, it is getting hot in here. Is the heater on or something? I must, maybe my computer was just putting out extra heat because of all of the cleanup that I did. How much work my computer is doing is a major factor behind how hot it gets in here, so. Microsoft has confirmed issues that some users are experiencing following the installation of the June 14 Windows update. Gotcha. Yellowstone faces indefinite closure. What a speech. Was it a good speech? Did I do a good job? I've been practicing. So I don't know. So if you had missed the thing that was at the beginning, I've been arguing with people on TikTok. And one of the arguments that we've been having on TikTok is about oil, right? So and that's the one that it seems to have the most interest and is doing well, and so I think I should probably talk about today on my TikTok. But there's another TikTok where the person was complaining about Procter & Gamble, saying Procter & Gamble, they should just make less money and they shouldn't be doing the shrinkflation. Wow. I find that argument way more interesting. I guess just because I'm toxic like that. I don't know. But I like to argue, right? Well, maybe we might just have to leave that argument for the time being because people are way more interested in oil prices. Right? So. Well, as the treasuries are falling here, I'm seeing the 6J and the gold and silver moving with it. So kind of seems like that the move down may be more significant. Now, in terms of volume, this downturn doesn't seem too significant. So we're still in a spot where I'm not so sure that I really have a good edge here, something that will help me predict futures. So we just kind of have to wait and hope that they give us something. Bitfinex tweets, I want you to all know that I am not God. I don't have a magic crypto ball either. These people are just that obviously a Ponzi scam. And I slept at a Holiday Inn last night. Basically because he predicted that both Celsius and Babel Finance would get rug pulled. Because they had lots of tether, yeah. It's all very interesting. Fed and ECB may be able to achieve a relatively soft landing. Oh, that was traded down almost immediately there in the treasury. I don't have a strong reason to be taking a trade here, but I do feel that I'm more interested in the short side in the treasury. So the way that it's trading right here has me interested, and I'm kind of thinking that I might want to hit into it. Except for that it is Friday. It is Friday. The Friday always kind of makes me nervous. Let's hear. Did I miss anything? Do we have CB leading index, capacity utilization? Oh, well, we already got that stuff, so. No, it does not look like we do. Carl Quintilla says 6 straight weeks of equity inflows or another 14.8 billion. Really? Well, why is this? Yahoo Finance Buzz Lightyear opening exclusively in theaters is a really important move for Disney. Oh, right. Because that's not being shown streaming. It's going to be really interesting to see this. Okay, so here's the thing about do you want to get into this? Are you interested in Buzz Lightyear? I'm kind of interested in it to be honest with you, because it's looking like Buzz Lightyear is the next flashpoint in the ongoing culture war. Yeah, not even kidding. Seems stupid, right? But apparently it is. So, of course, the thing that kind of I think started a lot of this controversy is that there was a scene in the movie where Buzz Lightyear has a female friend that is like his comrade or whatever, and his female friend is a lesbian and kisses her wife. So she's like a lesbian. Her and her wife have a kid. So they want. Many countries don't like this. You know, so it's been banned in like 15 countries or something like that just because of this one scene. And you would think, oh, well, that's a lot of lost revenue, especially since one of them is China, right? So you lose a lot of revenue from China. And Disney says, no, it's important to the story. We're not going to take it out. So it being important, how is it important to the story? And so they explain. They said, well, because seeing that is what causes Buzz Lightyear to realize what he is missing out on. So all of a sudden, you get a really big clue into what this movie is, right? Buzz Lightyear is an asshole. He's a toxic man, and he changes his ways, right? And that's what it is. That's what the movie sounds like. The movie is, and what is the thing that causes Buzz Lightyear to stop being a dick? Watching lesbians kiss. Apparently, that's what. Hey, listen, Disney. That's what Disney said. Okay, so now, there's all. Now there's controversy, and so like Chris Evans, who is the voice of it, which by the way, I have to say, like, I'm really concerned that people will not like the movie just because that's not the voice of Buzz Lightyear. But we'll see, right? So Chris Evans starts diving into it, like, oh, all of these people that don't like it, they're going to be dinosaurs and they're going to go away and everything. I don't get it. Like, it seems like he is taking a really strong line about it that would be unnecessary in public. I guess I suppose that me taking interest in the story is probably doing a similar sort of a thing, though. Maybe isn't it? I'm not taking a strong line on it because I'm really upset that there's lesbians kissing in a Disney movie or anything like that. I just find it really interesting that this is becoming another cultural flashpoint. So anyways, with all of that background in mind, the question is, how well will the movie do? What do you think? I don't know. Just an open question for you, but I find the whole thing kind of a little interesting because of that. Okay, Treasuries bounced up a little bit. They came back down to 11. I'm still kind of tempted. I don't know if 2.45 is the best price. I kind of think that I could probably get 3.24. But S&P 500 is just opened up. Let's let them do their thing. So far, they've been buying. Actually, that looks like a pretty strong opening move to the upside. Future Trader 71 not able to do his stream this morning because of home internet problems. I've definitely had that problem before. Okay, well, they just blasted right through it, didn't they? I mean, it's only a few takes so far, but I don't think that I would be too upset if I had cut 2.4 or 3.245. The S&P 500 just looks like gangbusters. Like that's looking really nice. They're not quite the 3,700. Let's see. I'm gonna bet that they at least reach 3,700, ma'am, and then there's a good chance that after that they continue pushing up. Oh, really? The same 15 countries getting angry about it are the same ones who are getting angry on India about that woman quoting verbatim from Islamic literature. Well, do you think it's the case that Disney is intentionally provoking this stuff? Because it kind of feels like that's the case, right? It feels like Disney is intentionally picking a fight here for the publicity or something. But I'm gonna bet you that what you're gonna see next week is there's gonna be all the videos on YouTube complaining about the story. You know, just like just like they complained about what happened in Star Wars and all that stuff. What they did to Luke in The Last Jedi and so forth, right? They're gonna say they Luked Buzz Lightyear. That's what they're gonna say. Maybe. I guess the difference in this one is that Buzz Lightyear, this is like an origin story, isn't it? So what happened to the liquidity? It's been like this all week, really, Octavius. It's just like uh we've had really wild volatility because of the whole like, oh, they're gonna raise 3/4 of an interest, and the CPI and everything. And so the liquidity has been a little bit lighter, but I'd actually say that it's with all things considered, it's actually pretty good. No, I did. I've read both these and read the list of countries and found it hilarious. Yeah. Like that's the thing is that why should anybody in America be care? Right? But I seem to care, right? So why do I care? Well, I care because I'm reading about it in the news and it seems like it's a cultural flashpoint, which is why I say it kind of seems to me like Disney is trying to pick a fight with it because they know that like just two girls kissing, they're in a stable relationship and everything that shouldn't be controversial. I think that they're trying to pick a fight. Oh, Bitfinex, he never ends. With all these crypto Ponzi schemes blowing up, it's important to ask if Coinbase is exposed to the crypto Ponzi schemes. We know that Coinbase lists Ponzi schemes and frauds on Coinbase. Do they invest in them too? Question mark. Oh man. If Coinbase ended up being exposed to something like that and they went under, that would be something else, wouldn't it? Be like Mount Gox times 20. I mean, like 3.25 doesn't sound terrible. Like the issue that I'm dealing with here is like 3.25 in the larger scheme of things seems like actually like a great price. Like I think that I could probably buy 3.25 and it'd be higher in a week. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is something, that they think that the economy is really diving into recession and that rates will have to back off shortly. But maybe that's the prognostication that the market is trying to make here. But just based on where I think things are going, that rates probably continue to move up. And now that we're at 3.5, now they're probably looking at the possibility of 3.75 and 4, right? But in the short term, I'm not 100% sure why this flow is happening at the moment. And I think that we have to be a little bit skeptical of it. It has come through a bit in volume. So, it took a while for it to pick up, but it did get going in volume. So we are getting some autocorrelation in the order flow to back up our short trade. But I don't have a really, really high conviction reason for it to be moving on down overall. I'm just kind of favoring the downside to per se. So On a normal day, I could maybe take that. On an options expiration Friday, I'm a little bit weary of it, you know? So let's just hold off for a bit longer and just kind of see where it goes, because this could be like the head fake, like they were doing. Oh, they did this a lot yesterday, right? Where they would. It seems like it was really trending down, and then as soon as you wanted to take a trade, it flips on you, right? So, and then it flip and it go all the way back across the whole range. Like, do you want to take it all the way back up to 19? What the heck is the New York Fed saying? The act or process of becoming greater in number. We'll post a word definition each morning with several spelling choices. You have all day to vote, and we'll reveal the correct spelling at the end of the day. I don't know which one of those is correct. I don't like this game. I suck at it. The spelling. You know what's so funny? My wife. She don't tell her I told you this, okay? But she is terrible at spelling. Like, she asks me how to spell words all the time. And so I give her a ton of crap about it. But like, the reason why I give her so much crap about it is that spelling was always my worst subject in school. So spelling, not my favorite thing. What causes the liquidity? Well, so Magic Castle, I wouldn't say that the liquidity dropped after the Fed meeting yesterday. I think that it would be more accurate to say that it's been low all week, even before the Fed meeting. And so I think that what causes this kind of low liquidity is when you have an extremely volatile move. You know, when you have a move that's basically double like every other move for the past year, right? That makes market makers a little skittish. So I think that the move that we had on Monday in particular kind of scared a couple of market makers, and they decided to leave the market for the rest of the week. And I mean, liquidity has been low all year anyways. I mean, we were trading, we maybe got back to 2,000 contracts, right? So it's just been bad all around. And you have to wonder, because sometimes, I've never seen it in this situation. It seems like sometimes the liquidity will change when the contract changes, but like, we're at the beginning of the contract. So I don't know where you take that one. I mean, it really seems to me like, I don't know why I feel like it wants to move down further. I'm feel really conflicted about it. I would probably feel better if I was short, but then I would probably be super anxious about being short because it's not really falling through. Raising volume changes options positions delta due to variance of market makers who need to buy when the market goes down need to sell. Well, that's something different. That's something different. But I don't actually think that that's the situation that we're in. Well, I'm not exactly sure what the situation that we're in treasuries, but in ES, it's the opposite, right? The way that the market makers are positioned and so forth essentially means that when the S&P 500 pushes down below 3,700, they actually have to buy it back. And so it's been keeping us pegged. That's the whole thing, is everybody's a little worried that next week could be more volatile because of the options expiration. But the Treasury, I'm not exactly sure what the situation is. SpaceX fires employees over open letter denouncing Elon Musk. I don't know who that is. I didn't see that. You want them to be even bigger? So, live action, do you say that because you find it hard to follow, or do you say that because you think maybe other viewers would appreciate that? Because I tell you what, if the DOM was what I wanted it to be, the text would be way smaller. What's that blank black box area in the middle 2 columns on your DOM? Oh, wait. Are you talking about this area right here? Yeah, the ES numbers are very small. I actually think I'm going to change that soon, live action. But we have to wait. There's a feature coming out in the next version of Jigsaw that will allow me to change that. No, not that spot. I can't think of what you're talking about. There's nothing actually black on here. Which area of the screen are you talking about? Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 6 is my face. Which sextant of the screen are you talking about? Between the bid and the ask? Oh, wait, you're just talking about the 2 columns in the middle? On the ZM DOM? When you say black box, you must just mean that those inside prices go black. So the price on the columns on the inside are market orders. Okay, so these are market buys going into the offers, right? And these are market sells going into the bids. And the column will reset. So if price ticks down and then it ticks back up, then do you see how that one at 06 it clears it? So there's a reset interval. I can set how long it takes for it to reset it, but basically that allows me to keep track of how many contracts did it take to actually move it. Right. Well, I tell you what, we were being uncertain at 3.25. It would have been a good trade. It would have been $20 already. It looks like the 30-year just kind of fell out really hard. But why is it empty? Well, it changes the color to be black so that you can see what the current best bid, best ask is. But what will happen is so we've ticked up. If we were to tick back down, then these two ones right here would reset. They would reclear so that you can retrack how many orders it takes to push it. So right now we can see look, it's only taking 200 lots to move it. You're anticipating a lot of volume on Xeon? Well, no. What do you mean? There's a lot of space over here that you don't see because or that takes up a lot of space because that's what you have to do in order to be able to see the numbers for the lots right here, right? See? And then this column right here is for alert, right? Whatever it is for your notes. So that's why it's so much space. because I want to see what my Q position is. Oh man, the way that they're behaving here is making me think like, oh yeah, 3.28 possible. Not that many have traded it though. Oh, a couple of you guys took it. They blew through that so quickly. And like, okay, if that's not going to go, then we're just going to badoosh. So it went badoosh. So I could potentially get rid of the alert because I don't really use that too much anymore. Okay. So we just saw a pretty large spoof at 0.3 that caused some buying. So by putting it on the inside, they created an imbalance that created a lot of order flow. Well, what was it before all of that? We were at 0.8. It's interesting. You're getting fairly good pullbacks here in ZN, but not in the micros. Why is vol still spiking even more now and 20 minutes into the open? I don't know. The treasury, I haven't necessarily seen. Well, okay, so I didn't necessarily see the sort of thing that would normally create a liquidity hole, but there was a large spoof down here. Okay. So since the spoof, we've kind of been wrangling around in the treasury. ES continues to just be buy, so See, just keeps. I kind of suspect that that's spoof. So given the context of it, the timing and everything, I think that we're in kind of the main thick of the action that we tend to get in the morning. So, but that I think that was there to try and prompt some buying, So. It might take longer than we want, and there might be a deeper pullback than we want, but at the moment, it's kind of suggesting to me that it will continue down. think I might be getting a little sleepy. I feel like closing my eyes and going, how's your health doing? I wouldn't say that I'm as active as I should be at the moment. I did work out yesterday, but it was a pretty light workout. I haven't done like a really heavy grueling cycle for a while now. And it's been a while since I've had an uninterrupted night of sleep, right? So the freaking Ethan, man, my infant, okay? You know, normally an infant is like, wee, I'm hungry. Okay, this baby is like, like it's like I'm dying. It's like he's just so overly dramatic compared to Asher. He really just gets super upset when he wants some food. And he does it in like bursts. He doesn't just go away. It's like sort of a thing. So I just, I don't have to get up out of the bed, but it wakes me up. Definitely wakes me up. So yeah. Coming into Friday, having a whole week of working, I am feeling the effects of just being sleepy. It makes me want it. So on Monday is apparently a federal holiday, right? Monday is a federal holiday, Juneteenth. I don't know why they called it. Unless, listen, I don't know anything about this holiday. I just think that Juneteenth sounds like a poor name for a holiday. Okay. Sounds like a kid that doesn't know how to speak. Why isn't it Emancipation Day? I don't understand. Okay, but it's Juneteenth. I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to celebrate the holiday based on what I've seen some activists say online about it. But it is a federal holiday, and so I believe the markets will be closed. I'm not sure. I think that the CME will still be going, but I am not. I don't get the day off at work. For work, I don't get it off. So should I stream or not? But I think I'm going to not stream that day. I think I'm going to not stream that day and work on writing scripts and so forth. Yeah. And I would rather sleep in, right? That reminds me of that new guy in the room from Italy asking if you trade a live trade, and I said sometimes he's asleep but is alive. I always find it interesting that when new people come in and they're like, what kind of a trade are you in? Right? There's this expectation from beginning traders that you're always in some sort of a trade, trying to get something out of the market and stuff. And I wouldn't recommend trading that way. I don't know about this. I think that it might break lower, but I don't think that buying into 3.275 is the way to do it. Like, it's probably going to dink around with us here a bunch before it goes down lower again. Okay, so our dissenter in the Federal Reserve is talking now and explaining why they didn't want to raise 75 basis points, and they said that it would lead to policy uncertainty, so they didn't want to do it that way. Does American shale oil need more oil to extract than it produces? Is it true? I highly doubt that. But I think that sounds like something I'd have to do some research on because I've never heard that before. I can tell you that shale oil is a lot more expensive to produce and is only profitable under certain market conditions. So, but I don't see how such a thing would be profitable if it took more oil to make than it produced. So, S&P 500 turning back down. Like low Fed rates. There's one of the arguments that somebody was making on TikTok was they're like, well, we think that we should tax the tax the rich and tax the corporations and then put that money back into work in creating more goods and services. And I'm like, okay, so if you tax them and then you just give them their money back, you're not actually helping them, right? You realize that that's not actually going to result in an aggregate more goods and services because they just have the same amount of money that they had before, right? Seems like such a silly circular thing. So do you see so they backed off a little bit in the treasury? I'm still not getting 3.27. Well, we do need to tax the rich, though. Accountability, no more government bailout for private corporations. Well, you're conflating two separate issues, right? I'm not a fan of bailouts. I got to tell you that the bailouts have always happened in capitalism. That's just the economic history. Now they've got a large spoof trying to put a cap on things, huh? But that's separate from taxing the rich. Listen, the United States has one of the most progressive tax systems in the world. Okay. I don't understand where people get to this thing where it's like, once we start taxing them X amount, then that will solve the problems. Guys, the problem is not the tax system. You know why the Democrats say that, right? Because then that gives them more money to spend so that they can make government bigger. That's the only reason they say that. It's not because there's some magical tax level or something. No, if there's a problem, like if there's income inequality, you should resolve the issue that allows the people to accumulate more wealth than they should be able to in the first place, right? Not just allow them to continue to do that thing and then take it away afterwards. Okay, so Kashkari is talking now apparently, and he is saying that he would support another 75-point basis raise, and I think that's why the Treasury's just moved there. So in July, he's thinking 75 and then 50 after that. So I thought that was the base case, but I guess it's not the base case. There's still a wide array of opinions over that for the next meeting across the market analysts. So I'm a little unsure about how big of a deal him saying that is. But we're now a good $25 behind the curve. Why didn't you put the is it are they all speaking at the same conference? Is that what's going on? I mean, that kind of yeah, I don't know if I haven't seen anybody post a link, at least on Twitter. It seems like that the move here is to be long interest rates, but some volatility here, so it might be a better idea for us to stay out of it. Mayor Eric Adams, drag storytellers into libraries and schools that support them are advancing a love of diversity, personal expression, and literacy that is core to what our city embraces. And Jordan Peterson retweets us saying, "We are out of our minds." That is just the buzz. Okay, that is like national headline news these days is like a little crazy to me. That's the issue that we're arguing over, huh? Okay. Do you find those lower ladders really helpful? Well, yes, because those are the ones that I actually put orders into. But you know what else? I let me tell you something. If I was purely trading ZN, I would either have these ladders up, or I would at least have them in my market analyzer, because the market is way more responsive to even numbers in the interest rate than it is responsive to even numbers in the ZN. Seriously, like 3.5 was, they stopped just short of 3.5. It's way, the yields seem to be way better for trying to pick like a specific price of sorts. So you still this big order here at 0.3 I wonder if this time they're going to go up and they're going to try and tag it. My friend worked with Adams and he told me no one liked him at the precincts. I just, somebody please explain this to me. Of all of the things that you would choose to be like making into a political issue and advocating in favor of, how in the world do you come down to drag queen storytelling time is the issue of our day? What, seriously? That's the hill you want to die on? What? Okay. Do you only trade the treasuries? As of late, I've only taken live trades in the treasuries. I will occasionally put demo trades in ES for fun, but I've been mostly focused on the treasuries lately because there's been so much volatility over here. Yeah, drag. Whoa, I'm sorry. Do you not understand what that term means? It's like when a guy dresses up like a woman. Is what it is. Is a drag queen. So a popular thing there, well, not a popular thing, but there are some drag clubs or nights where basically men will dress up as women and dance like a stripper would, but dressed up as a woman. How about the grains? No, I have the grains all up on my market analyzer. I want to keep a tab on every sector of the commodities complex, essentially. Okay, so can you describe your trading styles? So here's the elevator pitch for the way that I trade. Okay, the research that we have suggests that markets are very statistically efficient, but not very informationally efficient. That is to mean that if you go in and you analyze price and any kind of pattern that you think that you see in price, order flow, price action, whatever it is, the market is very, very good at arbitraging those out of the markets because orders have a very extreme impact on price. Okay. But also because orders have a very extreme impact on price, a large player that has to rebalance their portfolio, they're making a move that has absolutely no informational content. And when I say informational content, I mean like telling us something fundamental about the economy. That can move a price very, very far away from what fundamental value is. And so this is where we get a market that is very statistically efficient, but not very informationally efficient. So in the end, what really matters is the orders. We need to predict future orders. So I'm looking for pieces of information that will have a high probability of predicting future orders. So central bankers speaking at a conference and saying hawkish things is something that is very predictive of future orders. I don't think that I would want to fade this. I'm having a hard time getting myself into a trade because it's Friday and all of these things. But we did discuss at a moment that we should have gotten long at 3.25. We would be happy with that trade and probably be thinking about where to take our profits. And hey, even at this price, I see kind of some potential for the downside. So here's the thing. If I go and I look at the market and I say we had a higher high and a lower here, low here, and all those sorts of patterns, I've tried a billion different ways of doing that, and I've never found anything that worked over a multi-year period. As far as I can tell, it really is just noise, and the trading strategies that people think work are really just because they're not setting the bar high enough. They don't look at it far enough. They're not putting enough scrutiny on them. Okay. But what I can do, and something that has a lot of very well-researched empirical evidence behind all of this, is that if I take the current market conditions and I know what the future orders are going to be, I can predict how the market is going to react to those orders almost exactly. So that is the way that I trade, is I'm using the order flow and all of these DOMs and everything to keep track of what the current market conditions are, where's the money coming from and going to, and what are the drivers and the sentiment in the market. I'm using things like the news and what I know about institutional strategies, the options gamma, this sort of a thing. But more importantly, sentiment and news to come up with a bigger term theory about what the future orders are going to be. And then when I run into a situation where I see enough correlated order flow in favor of my direction, then I take the trade. And that's essentially how I trade. So it's actually quite simple, right? It's actually quite simple, but I'm gave you all of that other stuff because I want you to know that I'm taking this trade based on empirical proven evidence, things that we know about markets. Now, that doesn't prove that my strategy works per se, only that it's based on something that's real, because what most traders are working off of, it's not proven. Or, I mean, it's just nonsense. There's so many things that they believe that are just objectively false. Minnesota Fed President Kashkari, cautious about too much front loading, says he can support one more 75 basis point hike and then 50 basis point hikes. Fed's George says she dissented because she says that 75 basis points added to uncertainty and she opposes abrupt changes in policy. So I would say that both of those are somewhat hawkish. Whether that justifies how much further that justifies us in moving up is a different question. Oh, you saw me watching these shows at a club last week, huh? No, never. I don't even know if there is such a place like that in Utah. I know there's a strip club somewhere because when I was a DJ, I always had all of these strippers trying to add me. I'm like, who the hell are you? I don't want you on my page. I know there's a strip club somewhere, but I don't know if there's a drag place, like a gay bar or a drag. I don't know. There's probably a bar that's kind of like, it's not like openly a gay bar, but like everybody knows that's where I don't know. It's probably like that. You make it sound like you don't use order flow to make your trading decisions, but you've got a gazillion DOMs in front of you. Well, so I don't use the DOM as an entry signal. No. Again, you have to see current market conditions. Listen, this has moved too far. I really just don't think I can jump on this, even though it really seems like it's just going to keep going. I don't know, man. I feel really stupid right at the moment. Not stupid, just like I feel like a pansy. Like you could have taken, if you were just willing to take the risk, you would have gotten it, right? You would have gotten it, Seth. Now, how much further can you go? What's the best way to get a hold of me is Discord. Message me on Discord. That's the best place. And sometimes you might message me or email me and I'll like respond and then like I'll forget about it or something and you have to message me again because I forget things. I'm not super organized like that. Okay, what was I saying? Oh, I was trying to justify why I have so many DOMs up. Okay, you have to know what the current market conditions are. DOM tells you that. Number one. Number two, DOM is the best way to execute. For me to click and manage my orders and be able to see all that data all in one spot is the best way of doing it. So that's why I use the DOM. But you've got to avoid what I'm telling you is don't turn the DOM into technical analysis. That's what people do is they say, technical analysis doesn't work. And then we come over and we use the DOM and order flow and we start applying technical analysis to those things. And the problem is not just in price. I mean, there's a problem with analysis of just price, but there's also problems with the idea of technical analysis in general, which is why I bring up the whole thing about how markets are very statistically efficient, but not very informationally sufficient. I think you give calls give you a slight edge, but you just, yeah. Well, Mr. Bond, I've been really weary about putting on the risk just because I know how volatile this market is, right? So like I could have hit into that and I was, I don't want to do it. So right here is about where they kind of closed things out yesterday. So there might be some interesting behavior here, but But to be short, under normal circumstances, I probably should have taken along through some of that. But the combination of me not getting very much sleep because we have an infant and the market being really volatile already and it being an options expiration Friday kind of has me being a little bit more risk adverse than normal and probably more than I should be. And now that the whole thing is kind of like you kind of missed the trade. So if I take a trade at this point, I'm chasing. Well, all things considered, I do think, well, I don't like that, but I do think that they could continue. Like it wouldn't, and in fact, I think I could even go as far as to say that they could get back to 3.4 again today. Yeah, if it was a Xeon, I wouldn't be as cautious. But part of it is that these micros can really screw you over if you really if you get too aggressive with your market order. Oh, you know what? I don't have my dollar indicator on here. That would help. I was just hearing my news squawk talk about the dollar making some moves, and I'm like, oh, what? Okay. It is, well, would rather be taking the trade in the 5-year, wouldn't I? But I mean, look at the liquidity in the micro for the 5-year. They're already at 3.4. They're already at 3.4. Kind of suggests to me, by the way, that we could get like further moves down that steepen back out. So where the 30 and the 10 just get pummeled. Micros are for bets. Well, you can listen. I think that you're okay to come in and take, you know, a basis point or two. Probably would be better to be swinging them. Remember earlier I was saying like 3 point what was it? 3.25. Yeah, that's what it was. It was 3.250. Seemed awfully attractive. I was like, I bet you that next week we're going to be higher than that. But I didn't have anything that immediately told me we were going to move. The first move down that we had, I was kind of like, okay, whatever. Now we're like, oh, this is happening because of Fed speakers. But if it's happening because of Fed speakers, you kind of have to be a little bit careful about that because, well, what you're seeing right here in the 10-year is kind of exactly what I've been so concerned about. If I had taken it at 3.3, it probably would have been okay. But, you know, this is going to be traders trading essentially. So when everybody's coming and taking the trade, you're going to get this massive backwash. So I don't want to deal with the backwash for sure, right? It could still give well, now we're getting to the problem where I've only got about 35 minutes left. That's okay. But like, look, I've been very selective in the past few weeks. And so I probably should have made a couple $100 more than I have, but I've still done well through it. So I don't feel too bad necessarily about being super stingy like that. It's just in this particular instance, that really was something that I could have just straight up traded, and I just was not in the right mental space to do it, was I? Why do I need to do anything? Like, here's the thing, is I think that we often end up trading because we think we have to, right? Like, we think, well, I'm putting this time into it. I need to make money out of it to make it worth it. In order to prove myself, I have to be successful at trading. I have to come in here and take this trade. I think that so much of what gets us into trading in the beginning is ego. Really, I think that it takes a little bit of ego to know it's either ego. It's either ego or naivety, right? That gets you into trading. Okay. But what I've found is that that's exactly what screws you over. That you have to get past that, how much money I make is an indication of how smart and how much worth of a person I am. Right? That you need to get past this is how I'm going to become rich and successful is from my trading, because those things, as far as I've seen, put you into a mental state that makes it difficult for you to make good decisions. So I say you want to avoid those, right? So I don't need to do anything, right? I'm only going to take a trade if I have something that I strongly believe is going to predict future orders, and that I'm in the right spot to do it too. I think that's another key component is me at this current time. Last night wasn't that bad, but I kind of came in late. I've been a little disjointed here this morning, right? I've been a little bit more interested in yapping than I have been in trading. It's just, and again, it's Friday. You can see really weird stuff on Fridays because of the option expiration in particular, right? So I got to be careful. I could have FOMO. I mean, I was seriously thinking about FOMOing into it when we were up here at 3.25, right? It would have been $25 loss, right? So you got to do it right. And if you miss a really good trade, sometimes you just have to say, I miss it. Because the reality here is this: markets are very statistically efficient and not very informationally efficient. So in order to have a positive expectancy, you have to be able to predict future orders. And if you don't have something that's going to predict future orders, and that is kind of the thing, is that most of the time you won't. If you just take trades in those when you don't have an edge, you're just going to lose money in the end. So really the most important skill that you can have, the skill that's going to be the most important to your long-term success, is going to be how good you are at selection when you decide to trade and when you decide not to trade. So being able to not take a trade when you don't really have anything that will predict the future orders is really important, right? It's just in this situation, we did have something that very much would have predicted future orders, right? Because there was Fed speakers, and I was hearing it on my news squawk, and I basically heard it like as soon as it happened, right? So I could have taken it, is just I didn't, because I don't really want to put risk on today. Well, I think I need to get over that. I think that one of my problems is that I'm too risk adverse. I'll get too risk adverse, and then I'll start doubling down when I'm doing bad. I need to switch that around. That's probably my biggest thing holding me back at the moment, I think. Hey, Hydro, welcome back. Well, I tell you what, that was like the fastest 5 minutes I've ever experienced. I was looking, or maybe I should say the longest 5 minutes, because I'm sitting here like, oh, we just talked about a ton of different stuff, but it's only been 5 minutes. You have the edge and your calls are often right. Why not get paid for that? Well, I take it when I can. Let's just say it's a work in progress. And that, to me, how much money I make off of it is not the thing that's at the forefront of my mind. In fact, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, yeah, account's pretty small. We still have a ton of money saved up, so we can put, into the account. And maybe even if we really wanted to size up, or we had an opportunity and we think we could size up, right? That's what I'm kind of thinking. So to me, trading can be a loss leader of sorts. Like on one hand, it does just straight up help the stream, right? But more so than that is the knowledge that I gain from being on the front line here and trading it, right? That allows me to make better decisions in my larger portfolios and stuff, and work towards things that can really make you big money, like managing a fund or something like that, right? So what is my primary concern? Learning, taking the best trades that I can, and not necessarily how much money I'm making, right? I wish that I was able to express that more effectively when you guys bring this question up. I wish I was able to express that as effectively as I think I did here today. Because I think that usually what it turns into is, well, you probably shouldn't be trading, right? When really it should be, it's where do we need to be? What state do we need to get ourselves into to really have a chance at succeeding with this, right? Because there's this real thing, like you heard the whole thing about lobsters, right? Like if a lobster has a fight, and it loses the fight, it's significantly more likely to lose the next fight. And Jordan Peterson was saying that's, it's a system that is quite ancient and quite drilled into our psychology somehow. Are you starting to agree with you about oil and the energy bubble? I'm not too sure. I did notice that you were saying, oh, looks like oil is declining. And when you first said that, it was like, well, like we're up at the higher end of the range and it's just barely kind of turning down. So I don't know if that's really a big deal, right? But since that time, in the past 3 days, it has continued to move down. So you are 100% right. And if you had taken a trade on that, good job, because that was a good trade. But in the larger term picture, I'm not too sure. I'm not sure what we go about with here in oil, because like we're just in a range and it just seems like that the situation isn't getting any better. So I don't see how any of that changes unless this is the point where demand destruction has happened and we're already in the recession, right? And then yes, we should start to see oil decline. I think narrating causes you to miss a lot of opportunity times. Many times I find good trade. Yeah, no, I think you're totally right. Live action. No, it's totally legit. I mean, like, the thing is that that's often a conscious choice by me, right? I will come in and I will consciously say, okay, this isn't a market that I want to trade. So in order to prevent, because the thing is that the harder I'm looking at it, man, the more I'm watching that DOM, the more I want to click. It's just like when we were at the highs here, right? I really wanted to click, man. I really wanted to click. And it was just because I was watching it. I'm kind of watching it at the moment. I kind of want to click. I kind of want to take it long here again and try and get $10, right? So, and sometimes I'll get hyper focused and I'll take bad trade after bad trade just because I'm so keyed into it. So, but I will very much come in and say, okay, I want to yap and not really watch it because I don't want to take a trade. which I think is what I need to do at this point, because no. Let's watch it, because this is a good opportunity, and we're just getting the backwash at the moment, and that could provide us an optimal location. People say overtrade is totally a thing. I have 100% done it. It's not just overtrading. It's like, seriously, once you start losing, and maybe I'm more vulnerable to it than other people, but it's like once you start losing, it's like you're just that much more likely to lose again. It's something about losing harms your decision-making process. I would even go on to say that something about missing a trade seems to harm your decision-making process. Like, I was doing pretty good at the beginning when it was like 3.25 or whatever it was way back here, right? Now I'm looking at it and I don't feel like that I am making good calls. Like, I still want to buy it. How far back is it going to come? Probably by the time that it turns around and there is a good buy, I'm going to miss it again. FOMO seems to weaken your decision making. Losing seems to weaken your decision making. I don't know what to do about that. Well, I think I do know what you do about that. You have to do things to clue you in, right? Depends on what stage you're in. Sometimes you just get a little bit too panicked. I think I've gotten pretty good at dealing with that. When you're getting too panicked, just take a deep breath, and then a little bit more of a breath at the top of that. So, like, right? That little breath at the top that like really like overinflates your lungs, and that'll really calm you down. If you feel like you're not too clued into it, get back into focusing your spot on the DOM that you're watching where you're going to be executing, and then open your peripheral vision. You know, how much of can I actually see beyond that? That will kind of get you into the right side of the brain that is good at visual processing and possibly getting in the zone, right? But when you're not thinking very well, I always thought that the call was to start thinking logically about it and to start speaking about it a lot. But that doesn't seem to do it, does it? I think losing is good because it makes you angry. Well, I wouldn't say angry, but it can be a motivator, right? Yeah. See, it's bad to come in here and trade and not be trying to make money. You're not going to get very far doing that, right? You want to win. You want to win. I'm just saying, you don't want the money to be like that. You know, you worried about how much money you're making or losing, especially if it's like, this is my livelihood or whatever the deal is, or you have your ego on the line, I think is even worse. That doesn't lead to good decision making. I think the thing that leads to good decision making is focusing on, I'm taking pride in my work. I want to do this as effectively as I can, right? Friend blew out an account going to the bathroom. Oh my gosh. I was reading this thread the other day on Reddit where somebody was complaining about how their broker was changing the margins on them. They're like, why are they doing that? And this guy left a comment that he said that he used to be a broker and that they would do that when people were starting to blow out their accounts. And he told us a story that there was this guy that like literally took out like an extra mortgage and stuff of like $200,000 and blew through it in a week. Like, he blew through it in a week, and the guy would get on the phone with him and was complaining about certain execution or something like that. And the guy was was like, this is a for sure thing. And the broker was like, nah, this is like dumb. Like, don't do this. This is dumb, right? All of this stuff, guy does it anyways, blows like $200,000, and then turns around and tries to sue the brokerage. But they had all the conversations recorded, so they go to court, and the guy doesn't get anything back because they go to court and it's all you know, the conversations from the broker are, you really shouldn't take this trade. Like, this is really not a good trade. Right? And the guy had a wife and a kid, and he killed himself. All in gambler. Yeah, and like, here's the thing, guys, is you want to come in and say, well, that guy was stupid. Obviously, I'm not that stupid. Well, good that you recognize that what he was doing is stupid, but just realize that the same psychological problems that drove that man to do that, every single one of us have that inside of us. Every single one of us have that inside of us, because it's not that it's that this guy just has low IQ or something like that. It's that there are real chemical processes going on in our brain that work against us when we're doing these things. And they're make you, worry more about loss and be too scared to take the trade. They make you get FOMO. And they will lead you into over trading and, trading more and larger size when you're losing. Right? So it can happen to anybody. And I have certainly had times, and you can go back and find them. Like if you just go through I know that I don't add all of the videos in the video page, but it's still all in a list. So you can go back and see every live stream that I've ever done. I don't take them down, even the worst ones. And if you just sort them by like most viewed, usually the ones where I got absolutely creamed are the ones that are the most viewed. So you can go back and watch those, and you can see these days where, I would lose $500 on micro futures just because I kept taking it over and over again, and then I tried doubling down or something. Yeah. So don't think that it can't happen to you. Right? So how do we avoid those kinds of problems? Well, number one, we got to put strict limits on it. Because the reality is you're probably going to lose, right? So limit the maximum amount of loss that you can take in a year, let's say, okay? Or in a day, right? Have like a daily stop, etc., etc. 1%, I'd say 1%. You lose more than 1%. If 1% is like an individual trade for you, you're probably over leveraged. And you know what? If you're only trading one lot and you're over leveraged, then hey, what can you do? But if you have a larger account, you're trading multiple contracts and you can afford to scale down, then scale down so that your max loss on a day is 1%. You'll be happier, promise. Right. Have a maximum limit. And then I think that the next part is, and I don't think I've completely figured this out, but you just got to be conscious that those are the things that are problems, and you've got to do things to avoid them. So I think that a big foundation of it is having the right mindset. And so I'm always telling you things. I think that people come in, they say that they think that when I'm saying this to them, that I'm saying you really shouldn't trade, right? But really what I'm trying to tell you is it sounds like you might be trading for the wrong reason. And if you're trading for the wrong reason, you're unlikely to have success, right? What's the right reason to trade? The right reason to trade is because you enjoy doing it and you want to take pride in getting good at it. That's the right reason. Okay? If you're doing it because you think that it's easy, don't. Okay? Because it's not easy money. It's the hardest money. In terms of, what we're saying, if you want to make money, go be a computer programmer. All right? Software engineer is the best bang for your buck. Like, for the amount of effort that you have to put in compared to how much you get paid, that is the best gig in the economy right now. Okay? Unless you're going to do something that's dangerous, like deep sea underwater welding or something. Okay? Otherwise, it's software engineering, right? Cushy job. A lot of the time, you don't even necessarily have to work very hard. You can still get paid very, very well because it's very high demand. There's not a lot of people that are doing it. They need people to do it. And it is something that you can learn on your own, okay? The thing that is the worst payoff in terms of the amount of money that you have to put into it, you have to put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into it, and you don't get really a whole lot out. It's trading. is trading. So if you're doing it for the money, that's not going to work for you, right? If you're doing it for your ego, that's not going to work for you, because the thing that I think will bring the success is realizing how very little you know, and how very narrow our ability to predict something happening is, and how, most of what we think is just a mirage, is just random noise. We think we make a few trades, and saw this one on Reddit yesterday. Like, I should just stop reading the trading subreddits, maybe. There's this guy, hey, I'm profitable now. I took 20 trades and I doubled my account. That doesn't make you profitable. That just makes you lucky. 20 trades, it's nothing. Do that for 5 years, right? But that's what we do, is we have a little bit of success and then we think we're all that. And what does that do? That you get overconfident, you're going to make bad decisions, right? So the state that we need to keep ourselves in is, I'm taking pride in my craft. I'm going to trade the best that I possibly can in this moment, right? I do it because it's what makes me wake up in the morning and not go to bed until 3 a.m. And I can't write all as always. Yeah, I feel you. It is not hard for me to wake up. I wake up at 5:30 in the morning and everybody's like, that's so crazy early. And it does not. I'm kind of hate it when it's a weekday and I'm sleeping in. I don't like that at all. I kind of hate that my family doesn't wake up at the same time as I do. Because from my perspective, it's like, hey, here's like 3 hours worth of time that it could be your most productive time of the day, and you're not doing anything with it, right? You could be trading during that time. You know what? If all of the kids were grown up, I would try and coerce my wife into coming and streaming with me. I think that would be fun. But she's got to take care of the kids. So maybe someday, after, our YouTube channel takes off and we're YouTube millionaires because of that, we'll pay for a nanny or something so that she can come help me stream. Yikes, Buzzkill. Now that dude has God-given skill. He will double his account 30 to 40 times more. No need for 5 years. He will retire in 6 hours. No, it's just so ridiculous, Ashkay. Akshay, sorry. I just don't. Can somebody explain this to me? Why does everybody do that? I never did that. Maybe it was because before I started really truly day trading, I had already been at the firm and I had already been reading a lot about trading, and so I kind of already knew what to expect and how big of an uphill battle it was. But man, it seems like every day I run across somebody, they think they're this shit. You know what happened to me one time? You guys remember this? I should go back and try and find that guy's account and see where he is at now. Because he was like, no, here's what you do is when it breaks out of the range, then you fade the range, essentially. It was like, if it makes a new low, wait for it to cool off and then reverse it. And he took that in one mark. I think it was that he took that in oil and it worked out for him. And he's like, nah, it totally works. He's like, here, I'll show you. I'll take the trade. And then he took oil. Then he took gold. He took gold when it was like back up at 1900. And it was like, well, it's not working out so far, but it will. But it will. And I think he probably held it all the way down. Because like the thing was he was like actively harassing me, like making updates every day, sending me messages and stuff. Just the absolute like most like this was like, I'm gonna harass you, like I want you to kill yourself sort of harassment, Like it was just the most aggressive, mean interaction I've ever had online. And then like gold kept going down and down and he stopped posting. And he stopped posting. It's like, oh, maybe the market is very statistically efficient. I don't know. Hey, listen, you know what? This guy and this most recent Reddit thread, he brought up a really great point. There is a significant amount of evidence suggesting that momentum strategies, a CTA style strategy, is an effective strategy. And while they don't necessarily outperform the market, they have right tails instead of left tails like the regular market does. So if you want to do a CTA style thing, you're going to swing trade it. It's going to require a lot of money to start out, but you do a CTA style swing in futures. That's a good way to go. Yeah. And you could combine that with what you know to make even better decisions, I think. Yeah. I need to spend more time on a CTA style strategy, but I digress. If you have a book with good CTA strategies, I would love to know what it is because I want to start a fund. That's the plan right now. I'm going to get the Series 65 so that I can say I'm a registered financial advisor. And then I'm going to get the Series 3. And then maybe we'll start a fund like that. Because, you know, I think the whole thing here is that, like, I think all of us, don't you think it's like, the problem is you just don't have enough capital. It's like, well, I probably would be really great at swinging this if I could just hold them for long enough, but I don't have enough risk to do that, right? Okay. So then we just all pool our risk together. You'll all have to get Series 65s too in order to invest in it, right? Well, we could pool all our risk together and do a CTA and you could make money that way. That'd be cool, yeah? Polynomial regression mainly? Yeah, I think if I want to do a CTA strat, I think I want to have machine learning be a part of it, yeah. You're like a Marine isn't one of their mottos. They accomplish more than most before breakfast. That's true. Was it one of I was talking about this earlier because somebody was trying to troll me on TikTok, and I love the trolls. Like, I just honestly, I know like it's not necessarily a good thing for a person, but I love that kind of antagonist. I see comment like that, like I want to highlight them and make a great argument, and then I find it so much fun. But he was saying, "Oh, look, here's another white guy that read an economic book and thought that he knows everything about it." I'm sitting here like, what the F? I've been doing this for 12 years, been waking up at 5:30 to trade basically 2 to 3 hours every day for the past 5 years. I ain't been doing all of that just to be called some amateur by this shithead on TikTok that probably has never had much of an economic thought in their life outside of that one thread, you know? Not that I'm a professional or anything, but come on, I've put a lot of work into it. I put a lot into it, more than most people ever will. And I've learned a lot about it. And I've learned a lot of things that are like, we know these things in the financial industry and the regular person doesn't know them. And it's a little shocking to me that they don't, that these things aren't talked about more, especially the fact that the market is not very informationally efficient. You're talking about the 2013 paper from EDHEC about momentum trading strategy? No, I'm not. No, I'm not. So the thing that got me thinking about that, Akshay, was Jean-Philippe Bouchot has been posting stuff about that. Mostly just kind of saying, because the market has been really crappy, that, if I think his argument is basically like, hey, you know what? If you were invested in capital fund management's momentum strategy, CTA momentum strategy funds, then you would still be doing okay right now. Is I think what he was basically trying to say. And that's what kind of got me thinking about it. And they have a little PDF with some information showing how CTA strategies are profitable, but they didn't really explain them. So what is EDHEC? Let's see if I can find it. 2013 EDHEC. winners of the EDHEC alumni prizes are revealed. No, can you give me like a paper name or the number? You know, like the paper number, or even better yet, just an arxiv.org link, an archive.org link or something. Usually most aggressive market makers do that, catch the edge. I think so, Hydro. I think that like seriously, if you're going to be a market maker, or sorry, not if you're going to be a market maker, I think that as a speculator, here's been my observation. As a speculator, it is to your advantage to use a market order and try and catch the edge. Oh, here, hold on a second. Actually, you listen. I trust you. Salim is the only one that I don't trust because I know that it would just be too much fun for him. Try it again. Try posting it again. Aha. Okay, I'll read that. See what they're suggesting. Because everybody always talks when they're talking about these things. They talk about just like simple moving averages and stuff. And I'm like, I don't think it's. I think it's more complicated than that. It takes a long short position in a single asset based on the sign of the recent asset return over a particular look back period. Oh, okay. So there, it's really more like if it's moved X much in the past 10 days, then it does this. Yeah, okay. They even walk through it. Okay, I'll read that today. I got some stuff. Since I don't have to worry about recording a video necessarily, I do have something I need to write. And I can edit that other video. I don't know if I want to put it out on Monday or not. I'm kind of thinking like Monday might be better. Anyways, but I'm not going to stream on Monday, just so you know, okay? Won't be here on Monday to stream. I'm going to use that time to work, so. Okay, well, tell you what. It is time for me to get going. Thank you for that link. Had a fun day today. It sucks that we missed that trade, but hey, you know what? Like, look, it's almost come all the way back. Like, I was right to be extra weary about trying to chase it. I could have made a quick buck in there, but who knows? Maybe I would have gotten that and made 20 bucks and tried to hold it and stuff. So even though I made a bad decision, I also made a good decision. So, and I didn't lose any money or anything. So it's all good, right? So let's put the title today, Options Expiration Friday. Yeah, so being a market maker, you catch the edge and then you quote Y minus A or Y plus 1. Yeah. Yep. But what I was saying was kind of more like if you're a speculator, like taking out the liquidity and pushing it in your direction is to your advantage. And basically what happens is all of the other speculators that know what's going on do the same thing and push it. So It is. Now, if you're wrong, then being aggressive like that is the worst thing that you can do. So it's a double-edged sword. But okay, guys, I'll see you next Tuesday. In the meantime, stay profitable, friends, or at least don't lose it all. I mean, it's the weekend, so you can't really do anything, but still,